Haya Congo manawa yo Congo manawa. Congo manawa. Congo manawa yo Congo manawa. Congo manawa. Manawa yo Congo manawa.
So, okay, I guess we're live. Well, salam alaikum salam. How are you doing? Excuse me for the quality, because last time I noticed that some things in the video fell away. In time, when I start making more videos, if I will, then I will get a new camera or something. Anyway, so the topic of today is how can you find the right spiritual path and or tradition suitable for you? This is something that is very difficult for people in the beginning. The way I started out, it was really confusing because there were a lot of different types of paths. I didn't have a teacher. I tried looking for one, but it's very hard to have someone share his knowledge or his secrets with you if the person doesn't know you. So the first thing that I would say is to look into your ancestry, because that was something I didn't really know that much about my ancestors and where I came from. I knew the background a little bit, but I didn't. Our family doesn't really keep records that well, so I wish they did. So the way I did it was to just read a lot. Like, I bought every single book that I could find, which looking back wasn't the best choice to make. So I can't really advise that. There are some books out there that can really put you on the right path. I will name some after this video that I think are very helpful. But yeah, for me, it really just started out by reading some things and experimenting and just trying out the wrong things. Like, I was very focused on Goetia in the beginning, which I failed at miserably because I didn't know anything. I didn't know what procedures to follow correctly, and and especially in the beginning, you kind of tend to think that magic is a little bit like the Harry Potter world, where you will learn how to snap your fingers and something will just happen. I wish that was the case. Hey, Martin. But you will, I didn't really prepare for this, so I'm just freestyling a little bit. If you have any questions, just ask them. So for me, it kind of started out with just reading some books, watching some videos. There was a certain person that started videos, and I was kind of following that in the beginning on YouTube. This person is gone now, so there's no need to mention the channel. And just experimenting, basically. Like, I came up into, I stumbled upon hoodoo and conjure and things like that, and just trying to do some of the things that I learned there, which was a big failure in the beginning. But I really wished that I had known more about my ancestral side. Like, my dad is from Curacao, which is the Dutch Antilles, like a Caribbean island near Venezuela. And my mother is Dutch. So I kind of I looked into that. And in the Netherlands, they're more towards, like, I guess the Nordic traditions, but like the Wodan, I don't know that much about it, but it wasn't my thing. I never really felt called for those things. However, when I started to study more and go a bit deeper into my dad's side of the lineage that I had, the family heritage, I started like seeing things like spiritism at first, later into spiritismo. And then from there, I started, well, I think like the first ATR that I ever saw, which kind of scared me in the beginning, to be honest, was Kimbanda. Like, and because the only thing that I saw was like the devil signs, and when you Google Kimbanda, that's the only thing you will see. Like it's all like little devils and demons, and well, it's not really that way, but in the beginning you don't know anything about that, so that makes it very difficult. And especially when you're kind of struggling to find your way, you tend to think that the way we were raised in the West is we still have this Christian indoctrination. Is this, if I'm saying that right, like this Christianity just plays a very big part, and so that was still kind of in me. So here and there, I still was like thinking, well, maybe, you know, there is such a thing as hell and demons and the devil and this and that, and so I was kind of hesitant. Like I was interested in it. Like I started like buying the books of, I think, Eshu by Nikolai de Matos Frivold, and so that was interesting. And but I still didn't really find my path. And later on, I stumbled upon the book by what's his name again? The very famous one by Michael J. Craig, was it? I think the magic. I forgot the name. Maybe someone can put it in the comments. I wrote, so yeah, and I was like, it was an interesting book, and I kind of learned a lot from that in the beginning, but still it wasn't what I wanted to do, because ceremonial magic is a whole different thing, and I never really felt called to that. And at that moment, I actually really thought that was basically the only thing. It was either that or Wicca, and well, Wicca was definitely not something for me. So, well, at least not the commercialized version of it that was all around. And so I just decided that I just kept on looking, and let's see, I think I stumbled upon Paul Husson's book, like Mastering Witchcraft, which I started like practicing some of the things in that book, which yielded a bit more results, but it still wasn't really what I was looking for. So it's like I just spent like a lot of years just wasting my time with reading books that I should not have read, because all that stuff I had to unlearn later. It was a mess in my mind. So then I met some friends who were really familiar with like, well, on Facebook, like they were really familiar with like the South American traditions, like brujeria and things from there, which already like really grabbed my interest in the beginning, but not being from there and not really having access to the things that they were doing in real life, I had to kind of lay that down. So and I just kind of stumbled on like that for a long time, until I actually like started finding my dad's side, like I said. And then I think after Kimbanda and things, I found Palo Mayumbe, and that instantly spoke to me. I don't know why, but because when you start looking and Googling and pictures of that, it's not much different from like Kimbanda and things. It all looks very scary in the beginning. Well, it really isn't, but you know, you're kind of ignorant in the beginning, so a bit scared to do certain things, because it all sounds very exciting and very dangerous. And so I kind of just started studying that a little bit more, and then eventually, because I'm not going to stick to a timeline here, because I really don't know. So like over the years, I think I stumbled into Tata Oriate's videos, and that really put some things into perspective for me. And also Sancista Brujo Luis with his Espiritismo videos and stuff like that, and some people before them. So I was just really started focusing on those things. Like I said in my former video, I just started with Espiritismo a little bit, like more experimenting, not really knowing what I was doing. And so that's kind of like my way. Like I kind of went from there and studying, and then all of a sudden I had some readings, and that is something actually that I would advise instantly. Like what I would say is to get some readings with some respectable readers in different traditions. So like I had a reading done in Kimbanda, I had a reading done in Palo, I had a reading done for Ocha, not really with a respectable person, but like, at that point I thought it was. Did I do any more? I never really had any readings or things for voodoo, because that just really never pulled me. I think it's a beautiful religion, but it's not for me. It never was. So yeah, that's the best thing that you can do, actually. If you're interested in the ATRs, and even if you're not, it's good to know. And you also will see some perspectives of different types of traditions and the way they do things. So yeah, that really helped me. From there, I kind of started focusing on some points. And I think like in the beginning, it was really Kimbanda. After I had my reading done, I approached some people and was like completely convinced to go into that, because my reading also said that there is an opening for me there. And I was just really excited by it. So it never really happened. Might in the future, probably not. I'm not sure. So yeah, so that's basically my story. So besides readings and things, yeah, like I said, definitely try to look into your family history, because where do you come from? Where, like, if your family was like originally from Europe, like Europe has a lot of different traditions too. Maybe Celtic magic is something for you. Maybe you're more pulled towards Druidic magic, but by all means, don't start experimenting with everything you see, because it will mess your mind up. Like, I'm going to be honest about that. I had 2 years where I really didn't know what I should be doing. I was kind of losing my way. Everything went wrong, and I'm pretty sure that had to do with the spirits I was calling upon and all the wrong ways. And so don't do that. Like, I think for the beginning, it would be really, really best to just focus on your ancestors and your helping spirits. So that's actually one of the readings that I should tell you. Should advise you, like get a good reading with like an espiritista or someone who can really see your spirits and tell you about them. Be careful there though, because there again, there's a lot of scammers there. But like, once you know those, once you know like at least a few spirits that walk with you, you can go a long way. Like, there's many people that don't get initiated into anything else or don't do anything else but espiritismo, because that's what they do. And you would be amazed about how many spirits that walk with you, that how many things they offer you, how many things how much abilities they actually offer to you if you're willing to listen to them. So that is something that that I can really advise. Like, learn some type of ancestor practice. You don't have to go into espiritismo. You don't have to follow like a different type of way to work with ancestors, but just make sure that you give them a small place. Be careful there, and take your time to learn some things from people, so you don't make mistakes. I think that, like, because they're your family, they're your ancestors, so they won't easily get offended. Like, there can always be some issues there, but it's pretty safe, So what I would say is start there. And when people come to me for readings, it's basically it always keeps popping up that they are not doing anything to honor their ancestors or their helping spirits. And I think that's a big loss. Like, you don't have to do that, but when you think about it, that's your foundation. You come from these people. Their blood, their DNA runs in your veins. So this is very important to have that backup, that protection. I personally really believe that if you don't, you are missing a large part of your personal abilities, like your personal qualities, because they are your first and last line of defense. So before you start doing anything, like, especially don't start with Croatia, guys, please don't. I know it all sounds really exciting and things, and I know that for some people that works out, so by all means go for it if you're one of those people. But if you're not sure, don't go for that, because that's not a simple thing. That is, first off, very tricky to do, and especially when you're starting out. And even more experienced people have problems with them sometimes, So be careful there. Don't jump into those things right away. Stick to some higher beings, to call it like that. So yeah, just honor your ancestors, your helping spirits. Talk with them, light candles for them weekly, and set out fresh water and stuff like that. And sit in front of there and meditate. like that is another big subject that I want to speak about. Like meditation is key. It not only because you will recognize your thoughts and you will learn how to separate your own thoughts from those of spirits, which is really how most spirits communicate. So like it will also provide you with clarity. It will provide you with a clear mind, and things will start falling into perspective, you know? So you could even do some spells for that, like just get some clarity oil somewhere, and just a really quick thing, anoint a white candle with it, and just meditate with that candle, and just pray for clarity, for help with finding the right path. Because things for me really started kicking off after I started honoring my ancestors, and I started asking them for guidance and advice. Then I started meeting all these people. I started finding the right books. I started to having conversations with certain people that I knew from the start that they were exactly what I was looking for, you know. And if you do that respectfully and slowly, then most people are willing to help you. But be careful there, because I noticed that there's a lot of people that will just approach anyone. I have it all the time lately, where people just like, hey, can you teach me this? Like, okay, you just added me like a day ago, and you didn't even say hello, but now you're asking me to just basically tell you everything I know. Like, it doesn't work like that, and that's something that I find that highly disrespectful. Because just because it's social media, just because it's Facebook, it doesn't mean that you have to act asocial. Like, I mean, do you just walk on the street to some random stranger and ask him like, hey, tell me everything you know? Probably you get a bitch slap if you're unlucky. So don't do that, you know. Like, just take your time, get to know the person that you think can teach you some things, and ask them if they would be willing to teach you, because not everyone is willing to just give out their secrets. People work really hard for this, you know, and they spent many years to cultivate their skills, their abilities, and they often traveled over the world. I know a lot of people that really travel to study with people and stay there for years. So you cannot just approach someone and ask them to teach you, you know. Like, it doesn't work like that, you know. It really doesn't. Let me see, because some people wrote something. So, salam alaikum, tata. Are there any potential obstacles in practicing an ATR if you are from an Anglo-Saxon ancestry such as myself? Good question. Well, I'm half myself, you know. What I would say is, like, have a reading done. If the reading says that there is a way for you to go into these traditions, into the tradition that you get the reading for, then I don't see why that would be a problem. I really don't. I mean, like, when it comes to like Haitian voodoo, for example, I know that there is a lot of people that are against white people initiating. I'm not in that tradition, so I'm not going to say too much about that. But, like, you know, I can understand where they're coming from, seeing the history of the Loa and what was done with the revolution and things. So I can understand that, you know, but still, my personal opinion is, if you're called and the spirits or the deities say that you can, don't let anyone tell you different. If you had a legit practitioner of one of these traditions and they say, yes, you can initiate into this path, then, you know, like, you can. Simple as that. We don't decide that. No one decides that. It's the spirits that decide that. And if they say no, it's no. So yeah, when you're Anglo-Saxon or what's up, Carlos? Yeah, I really don't see a problem there, you know, like, personally. So like, I myself, I initiated into Palo, and my life has nothing but been good until now, you know. Like, things are really changing, which is something that I will go into in another video. So yeah, so no. To get back to where I was, after the ancestor readings, like, and definitely the praying for like the clarity and stuff, like, you will often already stumble upon people and paths and books and things where you will find a lot of help there, you know. So yeah, that's okay. Thank you. So that's basically the biggest advice that I could give. I'm trying to think of some other things. Questions are welcome. So let me see. Just be very careful, especially when it comes to initiations into traditions. Because while I was looking for certain things, I noticed that there is a lot of people that love to fill their wallet with your money, and whether or not they are legit, that's to the side. You know, some people really ask way too much money to get into these traditions, and they cost money. Like when it comes to like Ocha, for example, which is the only thing that I will speak about when it comes to that tradition, because I'm not initiated in that. But what I do know is that like the things that they use to initiate and the things that you have to receive, they are terribly expensive. Like they are, some of these things can be like extinct animal skins, for example. Like they are illegal. So these people have to get them from black markets mostly. And that's not cheap. That can run into the thousands of euros. And besides that, imagine that, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's like a 7-day ceremony when you get your cardio charge. So, you know, like there have to be people there. These people have to eat. There has to be cooked. There has to, offerings have to be bought. The tools that they use to initiate have to be bought. So these are all things that will run into the thousands. And so, yes, it can get very expensive. And in Paolo's case, it's not cheap, but I think it's a lot cheaper than Oja. So, but like, yeah, so definitely be prepared that it will cost money, and you will get it back tenfold when the tradition you're initiating into is legit. You will. And they will often just bring that money on your path, like happened for me, you know? So don't be held back by that. Or because I also see a lot of people that are like, yeah, and I'm meant to initiate into this because I had readings done, but I can never have that much money. Well, then it's simply just not your time yet. You know, like it will, I wanted to initiate into Paolo like what, 6 years ago, you know? It takes time, you know, it really takes time. And besides money, your life has to be at a certain place where you can actually, where you will be ready to initiate. Where you, some say, and I don't know, like for 100% if this is true, but like one thing that that I heard is that when you reach like 33 years of age, you are kind of spiritually adult. So like there is also this thing where people say that is a really good age to initiate, you know. I'm not saying that is like the truth or things, because that's just something that I heard and I tend to agree with, because I was 34 when I initiated. So so yeah, yeah, don't be set back by those things. And another thing that I can speak about, let me think. Some coffee always helps, so give me a second here. Yeah, most of just like really just be careful who you turn to for these readings, you know, and investigate them a little bit. And when it comes to actual initiation into whatever path you go into, not even just ATRs, because there is also like a lot of covens out there where you need like serious initiation. Don't just go to the next best person, because like even a lot of these lodges, you know, with ceremonial magic and stuff, like they have a bad name, you know. Like I'm not saying all of them, but like a lot of them have a bad name. So like really be serious about that and really study the people that will teach you. Because if these people are not ready to teach you, or they're well, one thing that I always say, what a really good thing to watch out for is, for example, if you have a reading done for Palomanium, and they say that you can initiate into that path, okay? Start studying your padrino or the madrina or whatever house you go into. Start to Google them. Start to ask around people that know them personally, not necessarily are initiated under them, because then they will not speak bad about their own godfather or mother often, you know? So take your time study these people and make damn sure that you're not getting initiated into a house where the godfather mistreats his wife, is very abusive. A godfather who doesn't have any money and always asks his godchildren for money because he can't pay the rent. Someone who, I don't know, like has an empty fridge, is just not friendly, is always talking, gossiping about people online, is always basically being an asshole. Like, those are not people that you want to be taught by. You know, in real life, you would not want someone like that to be your friend. Well, I suppose. So why would you want to do that with a spiritual tradition that should change your life? So be careful there, guys. Study your potential house, because you do not want to spend thousands of dollars and then initiating into some type of tradition and just then end up with like a godfather who will not teach you anything, or because he's too busy, or because he just doesn't give a fuck. He will just hand out his hand and he will be like, okay, give me your money. He will initiate you, whether it's correctly done or not, that's to decide. You know, like, if you don't receive any teachings after that, your initiation is really, yeah, it might change some things into your life. It might offer some protection and things, but like, I don't think that's the right thing to do. Because if you don't have any deep secrets that are taught to you, what are you going to do in that tradition? You know, if you don't know how to make the right offerings, or just some basic things, for example, the colors of the spirits that are in, the offerings that they like, the songs or the prayers that you have to use to approach them. Like, if they are not taught to you, you can actually end up more hurt than you would be if you were not initiated. So be very careful there. Let me see, Martin. What does a typical day for yourself being a Tata involve ritual practice-wise from waking to going to bed? Well, like I said before, like I'm that by title, you know, like I don't want to call myself that yet, even though I am, you know. I'm when it comes to that, I'm very humble because I have a lot to do. Anyway, what my practice now? Well, first off, I'm going to be honest about that. I live in a studio at the moment. Okay, and we're soon gonna move to an apartment, but until that time, we have our bed and my shrines and everything in the same place. You know, that's why this thing is here. You know, so what I do now, I wish that I could get up in the morning and say my prayers and stuff, but I can't really do that because my girlfriend works later than me and I don't want to wake her up. So I mostly do that when I come home. So I will kind of like describe what I will do when it's like weekends or as soon as I move. Now I kind of do half when I come back. But what I would normally do, what it would look like for me, is to wake up in the morning, wash my face, get ready a bit because I don't want to stand in front of my Boveda with like the smell of the last night. Then I would say some prayers, just some quick prayers. Like in the morning, I don't have a lot of time, so I can't really sit there and start meditating for a long time and things. But what I would do is like a meditation of like, even if it's like 5 minutes, sit there, greet them. I would light some incense, say my prayers, ask them to watch over me during the day, help me with finding any possibilities that I can stumble upon during the day, and things like that. And after that, in my case, I would go towards my Palo shrine, and I would call my Mpungo, Zarabanda, greet my Mfumbe, and also ask for protection, for guidance during the day, to watch over me. What I do now often is anoint myself with certain oils, you know, and that really depends on the day. Sometimes I will say some invocations. Normally I would do some energy practices, but because, like I can't do that much now because I can't start screaming or like doing loud invocations while the people in the house are still sleeping. So I'm careful with that. And then I go home, go to work. When I come back from work, I basically do the same thing again. Like, but I take some more time. Like first, I mostly just sit down, have my coffee, blah blah blah, just relax a bit. Then I go to my boveda and I just start saying my prayers. I do some longer meditation. Um, I go to my Paolo's shrine again and just sit down and start like talking, because I'm like recently new, so for me it's very important to develop that relationship. So I just sit there and talk, and I take care. I work with more spirits than just these. So, for example, San Simon is very close in my life, and so I also sit with him quite often. Um, yeah, just honoring the spirits that I work with, things like that. Like it's nothing like super special, but it definitely helps, and I think it's important to do that. So let me see, because it's 30 minutes. I always think that's a good time to quit. But like, if there's any questions, just ask them now before I quit. I will try if I can see. Oh yeah, the books. Like some books that I can advise. Well, there is one, and that's this one by Aiden. Aiden Wachter is like the talismanic jeweler. This book, I literally just started. When you can see, I'm just at chapter 4. But like, I'm impressed by this. I'm really impressed, because this book is like a way without dogma, without too much tradition. He's just speaking about things that worked for him, and it is very practical. So like, I can definitely advise this book. And I will do like a review when I read it fully. Another thing that really helped me out, like that kind of like really put things into perspective for me, was the book by Jason Miller. What was it? The Sorcerer's Secrets. I don't know if it's in the box, so I can't take it out at the moment. And that really helped me, because the way Jason writes in that book is very understandable, and it was, at that time at least, it was like a different approach to all the other books that I read before. So those are things that kind of can set you up, including the course that comes with that, and things like that. So yeah, that's what more books could I advise that are good to start out with. Like, I'm not really a big fan of too many magic books, because a lot of it is bullshit. So I have quite some books. I have quite a collection. I'm looking at it now. Oh, actually, Ivo Dominguez actually wrote some good books, in my opinion, like Spirit Speak. His books are very easy to understand and are also very practical. So that, yeah, I could definitely advise that. And they're also not like that tied to a certain tradition. Like, they're really open, all 3 books that I just mentioned. So like, you can use those practices and incorporate them into any tradition or thing that you go into in the future. Yeah. Oh yeah, another topic that is linked to this. Divination. Really, divination. Because I see a lot of people asking, how can I, for example, when it comes to working with Secret, which is one of the spirits that I work with a lot, who is like, at this moment, not in the house, because I assume we don't have the space. It will be as soon as we move. And so they come into groups and they ask, like, okay, what offerings can I give him? There is nothing wrong with that. But like, one of the most important things to remember is that if you work with spirits, what are you going to do if you can't communicate with spirits? That's like talking to a wall. So, and you can't always listen to the advice that other people give you, because, like, one person might have an entire different bond with this spirit. And like, when it comes to Cyprian, like, he might like certain things from me that he would hate to get from you, So that is something that you really have to watch out for. So I would say divination, like really divination. Like, you can give almost every spirit a glass of water. You can always light a candle. White is always fine, so you can always do that. Frankincense is pretty much very general, so you can offer that to the saints and things like that. But from there, you have to start listening. You have to start learning what they are telling you. because often they will ask you for something, and that's very important, when it comes to Saint-Simon, like he has some really strange questions sometimes when it comes to offerings, and he likes it. So and when I give them, like I get good responses from that. So that's a thing that you really have to learn, like not necessarily the abilities to hear spirits and things, like that's something that you definitely have to cultivate, but it's something that you can cultivate later. So thank you, Martin. So yeah, divination, to be simple, you can start out with a pendulum, do I have mine here somewhere? Let me see, give me 1 second. So yeah, like this is mine. In my case, I filled it up with some things that help with the thing. Pendulum reading is pretty simple. I'm not gonna explain now how to do it and things. It's something for a later video perhaps. But like that is an option. Like it's very easy to learn. It doesn't take that much. Another thing that you can do is like, for example, use a stone like this, the scry, or like a ball. So you can really learn how to often see spirits and know their messages that way. Another thing would be to use cards. Like I believe that it is very important to learn multiple styles of divination. Don't drive yourself crazy with getting bones and the crystal ball and the pendulum and the Messiah deck and it's master one first, then go to the other one. So make sure that you get like one simple way, which can be a coin, the flipping of a coin, consecrated, and make sure that it knows, program it to do what it needs to do. And you can even like consecrate it to, well, you should consecrate it to a certain spirit. So you can get simple yes/no answers. Dice, for example, you can use dice for that too. Anything really that has two sides. You just flip it, you assign yes and no to either side, and that's how you get your answers. So that's a good way, but that's a simple way. It's just for yes/no answers, and when you ask the right questions, you can get very far with that too. The pendulum can do a little bit more than just yes/no. It can also say maybe, and even when you like draw out things on an A4 or something, you can even like have it swing to those things. So you can go a bit further with the pendulum. Let me see. But then like to get more in depth with things, I think it is very important to learn a more deeper divination tool, which that is all up to you. Like you can use runes, you can use geomancy, which is starting to make a comeback, I see. You can use cards, of course, tarot cards, or regular playing cards, which are actually my favorite. Yeah, like just make sure that you have two types of divination and learn some type of, I hope I'm saying this correctly, like sortilege, where you like learn to recognize certain patterns, like how the birds fly, what type of birds you recognize, what type of birds start appearing after you did a certain magical work, where you were wondering, or you asked like a question out loud. That is something that is very helpful too, but not a lot of people know about that. So I think like that is something like learn one of those practices. Learn a simple way of divination and learn a more complex way of divination and really master that. And start working with your ancestors, with your helping spirits. Start meditating a lot. Try to develop your skills to listen, to hear their messages, and for some people that happens in dreams. For other people that happens for most people it happens with thoughts. Some people literally see them, and that's mostly where you either train very hard or you just have the natural gift to do so. So those things are things that have to be developed before you go into any other type of work. Like I see so many people that are basically lost, like they are trying to find their way, and so they just start doing everything. And while I do think there is some positive side to that, like trying multiple things, or at least studying multiple things in the beginning to see what is where you're pulled to most. I think it also has a lot of disadvantages, so I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't focus on too many different things at the beginning, because as I said in the beginning, that will drive you crazy, because your head will overload with information, and there's a lot of conflicting things. A lot of conflicting things. Like, for example, when you read the book of Franz Badon, Initiation into Hermetics, the way he speaks about sorcerers is really not that good. Like that, he kind of has a disgust for them. So, because magicians shouldn't be focusing on those type of things, and which I think is like complete bullshit. Because if you want to grow as a magician, you want to work on yourself, and your mundane life has to be in order. And if you're broke and you don't have a filled fridge, then what are you gonna do with your only high magic and stuff? Like, okay, respect for the people that do, but like my personal opinion is that you just need to have a comfortable life to be able to focus on other things, and sorcery will help with that. Simple. So there's nothing bad about that, and I can stand the people that say that it is, because it has proven otherwise, from my experience, not from a book. So yeah, that's important. So, but like, yeah, so be careful with those books, because there's like so many conflicting talks about it that it will just drive you insane. And I know some people that just put down everything, they sold everything, and they were like, man, I'm done with this. I don't want to have anything to do with your cult anymore, because I just don't understand it. Everyone says something different. So I can understand that it's very difficult to find your way, but stick at it. Do not give up. If I had given up all the times where I thought about giving up, I think I would have given up like 100 times, maybe more. You just have to be persistent. Like, if this is something that you want to do, you have to realize that it is something that will take a lot of dedication, will take a lot of time, and most of all, it will take a lot of people that will not understand you. Some people that will actually say you're a devil worshipper, and you will get all these names thrown at you. So especially, I think in the beginning, be a bit careful with who you tell. I am still a bit careful, especially when it comes to my work, even though some people know about it, because I'm kind of good in feeling out who I can tell and who I can't. But like, I'm not too public about it, but like, on the other hand, I'm going towards that. Like, there will be a point where I really just don't care anymore. So like, because I'm going towards a point where I actually really want to start doing this more and more. And hey, if people think that I'm a devil worshiper or whatever, then so be it. Like, I'm reaching a point now where I seriously don't care anymore. I luckily don't live in a country where they will prosecute or even execute me for those things. Like, if you live in a country like that, by all means, please be careful. But like, Europe is pretty free. You have some judgmental people, like for example, Madrid and in Spain in general is very Catholic. So like, being a palero might get me maybe some police house calls in the future. But so be it, because I also know there is a freedom of religion here, so I'm able to do that. And if Christians and Muslims can make sacrifices, and they sacrifice a whole lot more, then I can too. Simple as that. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that here. Let me see. Are you offering reading now? Not in the video, but in general for people. Yes, bro, I'm posting all the time on my page. You haven't seen it, The Night Light. So just go to my profile. You will find a link. I will put it here later too. It's The Night Light, and there I offer readings for donation. So you can donate whatever you want after the reading, and basically, if you don't, because you can't, then you don't. The only payment I really ask for is that you leave me a review, an honest review. If it was shit, it was shit, and I want you to write that down and tell the whole world that it was shit, because I want to give honest readings. So yeah, definitely. If you want a reading, go to my page. Let's see, is there anything else? Because we're nearing an hour, I think, which is fine. But let's see. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Work with ancestors. yeah, that's basically it. Like, and if there are any questions about this, then send me a PM or ask in this post, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video because I'm going for dinner later. So I wish you all a very good day. It's starting to get evening here, and know most of you are Americans. So remember, crawl before you walk before you run before you fly, and always remain humble and keep an open heart. Okay? Have a good day. Ciao.